On your radio dial, on your app, whether it's TuneIn, Spotify, iHeart, or our own, or on Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Rumble. We thank you for being a part of hour number 2 of the Matt Murphy Show this Tuesday, October 28, 2025. Hey, did we decide if we're dressing up on Friday? Are we dressing up as football fans on Friday? Is that what we're doing?
You want to do jerseys?
Are we? I could do a jersey, but I don't really have a Georgia jersey. I could do a Bobby Boucher jersey. That would be good.
I have a
You know what?
Reggie
I shouldn't
White.
say what I'm going to do. You have a Randy White?
Reggie White.
Reggie White. Who's Randy White?
Some guy.
Isn't it brother of Reggie?
Yeah.
Maybe I was thinking of Danny White. I was thinking of Danny White. You know who Danny White was?
He didn't have a jersey.
You know who Danny White was? Not that Danny White.
Danny White's the athletic director for the University of Tennessee.
I understand that. He's a former football quarterback. He was at one time a quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys before you were born, young Jackson. I just don't know if we're, dressing up or not.
I don't really want to.
I don't want to either. I just want to wear.
Ken, do you want to?
Ken wants to so little he left. How about that?
Ken
Ken
don't
said,
you run away from me, Ken Weaver.
Ken said cash him outside. How about that? All right, a couple of cleanup matters. One, this Hurricane Melissa, man. I understand these things are what they are, and there are weather nerds that hype this stuff, and I don't think you could overhype what is happening right now in Jamaica. Hurricane Melissa is obviously hammering Jamaica right now, going to hammer portions of Cuba as well, and then eventually veer on out to the Atlantic Ocean and die out as it gets into cooler waters. But a lot of those Jamaican resorts and the rest of the island nation under assault right now. And I've never been to Jamaica. I don't know a lot about Jamaica. I've never really been to any place in the Caribbean. Jackson, you ever visited the Caribbean with family or friends?
Been to the Bahamas. Does that
Have
count?
you? Yeah, well, yeah. Of course that counts, yeah. How was that?
Awesome.
Nice? You like it?
Loved it.
Yeah. I've never been. And I don't think I'll be going to Jamaica anytime soon because they're getting slammed. I often think, though, obviously in the modern era, for the most part, countries that get popped, locations that get popped, like Jamaica's being popped, somewhat in advance. When something like this happens, I think of places like Galveston, Texas, back in the early 1900s. It was either 1903 or 1908. The hurricane that hit Galveston, Texas I want to say 1908. I think that's correct. Hurricane killed like 8,000 people. It killed 8,000 people for two reasons. One, construction during that period in time was crap. And number two, nobody knew it was coming. We went down to, the wife and I went down to Key West some years ago. And in one of the museums that we went into, they were talking about different periods in time where weather devastated the Key West region and how Key West has changed as a result. And I was thinking about this then. I just imagine being in a period in human existence where you don't get the warnings that we now get, where you don't get a heads up, where you don't know when something comes, when it arrives, and you don't know how bad it's going to get, and you don't know how long it's going to last until, it happens to you. And I cannot imagine the level of uncertainty and fear that would come with that. Now, obviously, there's a level of uncertainty and fear even now in 2025 regarding what's going to happen to Jamaica, and there's not a lot we can do about it. It is what it is. Natural disasters are what they are. Speaking of natural disasters, did you hear that Bill Gates, after years of trying to scare the hell out of people off their dollar, he's now admitting that the climate hyperventilation is a hoax? Oh, yeah, I have the story. He's admitting basically, and this is my caricaturization of what he said, he's basically admitting that no matter how much they tried, no matter how much they sank money into it, that the entities that were climate alarmists, were unable to freak us the heck out over it to the point that we would come off of our free market capitalism and sink money into programs that were never going to work. And as a result, he has admitted that climate change, for what it's worth, is never going to wipe out humanity. And it never was going to wipe out humanity. It might change the earth as we know it, because the one thing that the climate never stops doing is, wait for it now, changing. which is why climate change is such a hoaxy way of describing this. Global warming, global cooling, it's all climate change. It's all climate change. But I have that story for you coming up in just a little bit on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. In the meantime, here's where the Democrats are on the shutdown. So Democrats want you to know that cruelty is the point. And this particular Democrat gets very emotional. And so Jackson Williams has to be on his P's and Q's. Mind your P's and Q's there, Jackson, and mind the dump button, because I don't know if this woman's going to say anything dirty or not. It is a clip where Melanie Stansberry, a representative from the 1st Congressional District out of New Mexico, fighting for our future, she says, working every day to build a more just, equitable, and resilient world. She flew in from Albuquerque and says she had to come down to the White House to see what was going on for herself. And let's just say, based on what she saw where the East Wing used to be, Representative Melanie Stansberry is devastated.
I just got off a plane from Albuquerque and I had to come down and see it for myself. And I'm outside of the entrance, the security entrance to the East Wing, and the East Wing is literally completely gone. There's nothing left.
Yeah, that I mean,
oh, the humanity.
There's nothing left. It's completely gone. What part of we've got to raise the East Wing in order to build the East Ballroom? Once again, I would love to ask Representative Melanie Stansberry to tell us her favorite memory of the East Wing now that the East Wing is dead. They're treating the East Wing like a human being. The East Wing is gone. She's gone. There's nothing left. Oh, it gets better.
From here, all you can see is nothing. Just from here straight to the White House, to the house itself. They managed to literally tear down the entire East Wing in 4 days.
Okay, so I would think that's good, right?
Working overtime.
I mean, come on. That's working for $1.
Brother Matt, it happened in literally 4 days.
Guys, it's literally gone. It's not figuratively gone. It's literally gone. And it happened in 4 days.
You know, and it's such a metaphor for what's happening right now. Our democracy, Constitution, the rule of law.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a minute, because I think it was the democracy that led to a vote on November 5th of 2024 that led to this president being in the White House, that led to a decision being made on the part of the executive branch of government, which is an equal and separate branch of government from yours, and gave him the legal authority to make adjustments and changes to the White House so long as it did not involve the expenditure of taxpayer dollars. And Donald Trump and the people in the executive branch understood, ma'am, that they could not spend money without your approval. And so, in an effort to save the taxpayers a couple of bucks and to cut through the red tape, they decided to privately fund the measure through Donald Trump's money and through private donations. So you don't have anything to do with it?
4 days.
4 days.
Literally 4 days. Donald Trump tore down the East Wing in 4 days. This is literally one of the most historic buildings in the United States.
Okay, lady, you don't know what in the hell you're talking about. Literally. Okay, the White House, yes, is historic. I would love to have Melanie Stansberry on the show with us today so she could tell us exactly what is so historic about the calligraphy room in the East Wing. So are you suggesting that no changes should ever be made to anything in Washington, D.C. whatsoever because of the historic nature of these things? Where were you, Ms. Stansberry, while they were destroying the statue of Robert E. Lee across the Potomac in Virginia? Where were you when they were destroying statues of Christopher Columbus? Where were you when they were in Lafayette Square spray painting statues in Lafayette Square across the street from the White House? Were you there protesting? Were you standing outside videoing, crying about it? Where were you when all over the United States of America, symbols of the American history that we ought to celebrate, and some of which we should look at as a reminder of what not to repeat in the past? There have been example after example after example of destructions of history. In this case, ma'am, I would challenge you to tell me what was so historic about the East Wing. The East Wing didn't exist before, 1902, 1906? The East Wing did not exist as it currently stood before the destruction that took only literally 4 days, as the woman would tell you. 1942, which, by the way, FDR got crap about for putting in a pool in 1942 because it was during wartime. But it happened anyway. And then the White House, after the construction of the East Wing, was so dilapidated that Harry Truman had to go in there and gut the whole thing. Took 4 years, 1948 to 1952, I believe it was. Harry Truman had to live across the street for most of the second term of his presidency because of that. Now, I wouldn't suggest to you that these things weren't on some level controversial at the time that they happened, but they happened, and they created the White House that you now know and love, or the one that you used to love before it was destroyed in literally 4 days.
No permit, no permission.
Ma'am, he doesn't need permission from you. The American people, by the way, I would suggest that you are wrong. Listen
Buildings in the United States.
Listen to this again.
No permit, no permission.
Ma'am, we gave the President of the United States permission. We, the people of the United States of America, when we, the people, voted him the 47th President of the United States of America and the caretaker of the executive branch of government, we, the people, authorized Donald Trump to do as he saw fit for the betterment of the White House and for the betterment of the American people. And oh, by the way, it's going to be better. Even the most ridiculous Democrat, well, no, I take that back. Swalwell said that you have to tear it down, that anybody running for the Democrat Party presidential nomination has to promise to tear whatever he builds down.
No congressional oversight, no appropriations. He just went and did it.
Okay, he doesn't need appropriations, ma'am. He's not doing it on the taxpayer dollar. Something that you should be celebrating, considering that we're $38 trillion in debt.
He asked his billionaire friends to give him money, corporations who have business in front of the White House. His campaign donors.
Yeah.
Raised $300 million to build a vanity project and demolition one of the most historic buildings in the United States. And meanwhile...
once again, what made the East Wing so historic? What made it so sacrosanct that no one can touch it? It was a bunch of offices. Now, no doubt, you need to take this up with a certain level of caution. Donald Trump wanted to do this his first term in office and didn't.
He literally is cutting off food assistance to 40 million Americans.
What?
Grandmothers who take care of their grandchildren,
okay,
veterans who are struggling, children.
Donald Trump's killing people.
He is literally telling the state.
If this woman uses the word literally again, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to literally go crazy. He literally did not, ma'am. I don't understand what you're talking about.
To not fund SNAP and food assistance starting Saturday, while he is building a $300 million ballroom.
The fascinating thing about this, and I get all beside myself, but this woman that you're seeing on our screen, if you're watching on Talk TV or you're listening to on the radio, she's so smug and full of herself. She thinks, what point has she made? Jackson, you don't follow these stories, these news items on the level that I do. What point has she made so far?
She don't like that ballroom.
That's right.
and demolishing
starving
the
people.
White House. And his own press secretary said it herself last week. This is his number one priority.
Okay, you are such a liar. Democrats are such liars. Oh, my goodness gracious. How could you follow for this? How could you vote for this? Caroline Leavitt, do I need to pull up the tape? Caroline Leavitt was asked a specific question, said, hey, are there any other construction projects that the president is considering? And she said, not at this time. The ballroom is his number one priority. Meaning, based on the question asked me regarding the priority that the president has regarding construction on the White House property, this is his priority. He was asked a question about construction projects on White House grounds, and he answered that question. The question related to, hey, he changed the Rose Garden and put in a patio, and now he has demolished the East Wing. Does he have any other construction projects that he's looking at? And Caroline Leavitt said, no, not at this time. Right now, the ballroom is his number one priority. And now Democrats are running around the country saying, his number one priority is this building this ball. The man is currently negotiating trade deals in Asia. The man is currently negotiating peace deals with Cambodia. The man is about to negotiate a trade deal with China, the biggest geoeconomic force on planet Earth besides the United States of America. The man has stopped conflict with 8 separate nations. I'm sorry, in 8 separate areas of the world amongst more than 8 nations. And your suggestion is, what, that he's not doing enough?
Not feeding the American people, not addressing their healthcare crisis, not trying to get the government reopened.
Ma'am, the way to get the government reopened is for you to do a little nifty video of yourself and talk to your fellow Democrats and beg them to just vote to reopen the government. That's all they have to do. We've had 13 separate votes. I know I've got to go to a break. I'm sorry. We've got 13 separate votes. And on 13 separate occasions, the Democrats prevented the vote that would allow for SNAP benefits to go out on November 1st. The Democrats are the ones that are stymieing all of this. Now, either you are too dumb to understand this, or you think we're so dumb that we'll believe your lies. And those are the two choices that we have in this matter. It's 24 after the hour on Super Talk. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We'll get back to your calls momentarily on the Matt Murphy Radio Show, Super Talk 99.7. Yes, we'll get into, there are several food banks that are gearing up for the sad loss of benefits. Many Tennesseans depend either temporary, hopefully these are temporary dependencies on the federal government for SNAP benefits. And sadly, the Democrats continue to have the government closed down. And as a result, some of these painful situations are cropping up across our state and across the United States of America. We'll continue talking about that. Day 28 of the shutdown. Toward that end, we are pleased to speak with our good friend, Representative Andy Ogles of the 5th Congressional District. Once again, he joins us on the Murphy Show hotline to talk about the shutdown and other matters. Andy, what's going on? How are you, my friend?
Well, it's crazy. I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm good. Good.
Good. Being a voice of reason, but the Democrats are ridiculous. In fact, it's been a busy media day because there's so much demand for people want answers. What the heck's going on in the mayor's race in New York? Why are Democrats voting against, veterans and those on Medicaid and those who truly need help versus defending illegals? That's the state of play for the Democrats. And I think it's a reflection in that they don't have a plan, they don't have a message, and they don't have leadership.
Well, I want to get to the Mamdani race because you've spoken out on some aspects of that, obviously. I want to start, let's start here with the obvious. Congratulations on the Trump endorsement. Donald J. Trump endorsed you for the 5th Congressional District. Did so pretty early on in the election season. I think most of us, maybe not you, Andy, but most of us haven't considered that. But 26 will be here before you know it, and you got the endorsement of the big man.
Yeah, it's been a few months ago. I was actually with the president and the vice president in the Oval Office, and he was actually signing a plaque. Or we had a meeting at a round table. There was about 18 of us: the president, the vice president, Russ Vought, Stephen Miller, and a few others. And as we're leaving, he's like, "Y'all come on into the Oval Office," because there's a couple of members who hadn't been in there, and he's literally signing my name placard, and it's in my office in D.C. And he said, "Andy, are they still coming after you?" And I said, "Well, yes, sir. They're, the same groups that came after me last time is going to come after me again." He goes, "Well, whatever you need, you have my support." So he offered his endorsement a while back, but we were just kind of waiting till timing was right to unveil it. But I've got a serious challenger in November. I've got a Democratic opponent that, is raising a lot of money. He wants this seat. The Democrats have me number 3 on their hit list. So I have a fight on my hands, but you know what? I'm going to get out there. I'm going to work hard and beat him like I've beaten everybody else that's come against me.
Well, look, I mean, Andy, from my perspective, I see that you have a Republican primary challenge, and I think, well, I mean, good. That'll sharpen up sharpen up the race and sharpen up the focus of Representative Andy Ogles. I mean, do you see it that way too, or would you prefer not to have Democrat primary opposition?
Well, look, you take every race.
Or Republican, I should say, not Democrat, but Republican primary opposition, yeah.
Sure, you take every race seriously, and so we'll fight if we're 3 points behind, and but like I said, we've got a good ground game. I've been the grassroots candidate. I think that's why I've had such success, is because I go to the town halls and the fish fries, and I pop into the town square and people just know me. And part of that is they got to know me when I was mayor as well. And so, but that's what I take to Congress. I was a mayor first, and your mayors are accessible. They're going to your community events. They're out there. Now, I've got 6 counties. It's hard to be everywhere all at once, but we do our best to have coverage. But, it's an honor to serve the 5th Congressional District and to be someone who is as close to I am to the president. If you'd asked me that, a couple of years ago, would you be texting or receiving calls from the president of the United States? I would have chuckled, and yet here we are.
Representative Andy Ogles with us this afternoon on the Murphy Show on Super Talk. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of the shutdown. The Democrats are increasingly desperate. It's sad because they're now entering an arena where they potentially could hurt people. Our military is always going to get paid, and thankfully the president maneuvered a way to continue to pay them. I believe our federal employees will be reimbursed. They might suffer temporarily, but now we're talking SNAP benefits from people right here in Tennessee and across the United States of America that need them. They're trying desperately to blame, the House. They're trying to desperately blame Donald Trump. And I just repeat, all you have to do is vote to reopen the government, and you reopen the government. Is it as simple as that for you, Andy?
It is. I mean, and when you look at, so this is a very simple, quote unquote, a clean CR. It doesn't have a bunch of, hardcore, hard-charging Republican priorities in it. It's literally just a funding mechanism. Democrats have voted for these time and time again, but this is really just political theater. Part of it is Schumer is facing a potential primary from AOC, and I would argue that she would win. Mm-hmm. And so he's got to come across as tough, which is why he can't cave, quote unquote. But like you said, the Democrats, at the end of the day, what they're trying to do is get 2.5 million illegal immigrants back onto Medicaid. The big, beautiful bill kicked them off. They're trying to get the illegal immigrants back on free health care. Meanwhile, they want to deny SNAP benefits to the elderly, those on fixed income, widows, and children who need it. They wanted to, deny people Medicaid, those who truly need it. And so they're choosing illegals over American citizens. It's that simple. And quite frankly, I think part of it is just demonstrating their disarray. They hate Trump. They hate conservatives like me and like you, and they're just grasping at straws. But ultimately, I think this backfires. I mean, even CNN, I don't know if it was last night or this morning, they had a graphic, and it was showing that the approval ratings of Republican Party is going up. That's typically not happened during the shutdown. We always get blamed for it. But the message is clear. We did our part. We simply passed a bill that would keep the government funded, would keep benefits in place, and the Democrats voted against it.
Well, and it's fascinating because the more conservative members in Congress, like yourself, Andy, I'm sure that you don't like the funding levels where they are. You want to see further cuts. We want to see more in the arena of DOGE. It's not as if the Republicans haven't moved on this issue to try to keep the government funded. At the same time, it's the Democrats that are being completely inflexible on all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, as one of the most conservative members of the House, I'd be slashing the budget left and right, and be getting praise here in the district for it. But that being said, I recognize that we have some essential services that have to be funded. And again, kudos to the president and Russ Vought for finding money, finding ways to keep our members of the military paid. Now, that being said, the SNAP benefits do end November 1st. I think that's when it gets really hard and real for the Democrats, because by and large, the constituency, and I hate to generalize, but the constituency that are on SNAP benefits, a lot of those are in blue cities, Democrat supporters. And keep in mind, the other thing that they're trying to do, the Democrats, is they want to take funding away from rural health care, again, for what? They want to fund illegal immigrants in blue cities. So not only are they siding with the illegal immigrants on the Medicaid fight, but they're literally trying to take money away from rural America to, again, fund blue cities. So enough is enough. We had a call to Speaker earlier today. We're going to hold the line. Senate Republicans, the White House, and the House of Representatives, we are all lockstep on this message. And ultimately, I think the Democrats capitulate. They cave. I don't know if that's 2 days from now or 2 months. But this fight could go on to Thanksgiving. Hopefully, they'll come to their senses and open the government back up.
Representative Andy Ogles joining us for a few more minutes on the Matt Murphy Show. Speaking of immigration, specifically illegal immigration, you've never shied away from a comment or from a fight, even if it's an issue that's outside of your district. And I know that you recently called for the Department of Justice to denaturalize and even deport mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani. Setting aside the fact that I have no idea how anyone with any sense could vote for this guy based on his statement about defunding police, his socialism, the fact that he wants to tax New York City into oblivion. He wants to turn it into a socialistic hellscape. All of that aside, talk to me about your call for the Department of Justice to probe Mamdani and your suggestion that he is not here in this country legally.
So in 2018, he was naturalized. You fill out a form when you're naturalizing to the United States. It's the N-400, and there's a list of questions. And what he didn't disclose on his form is that he was a member of the Democratic Socialists of America, so a socialist Marxist-type organization that literally could have disqualified him from becoming a citizen. He concealed that. He concealed some of his anti-American rhetoric and activity. And so if the DOJ chose to, they could go back and denaturalize Mamdani. And quite frankly, I think we need, especially those that were naturalized under the Biden administration, to go through those, all of those filings, all of those forms with a fine-tooth comb. Look, it's our country. We get to decide who comes here, and we get to decide who has to leave, right? And keep in mind, it's not just any city. Right. And this is a fight worth having over any city in America. But New York City is the financial center of our country. Mm-hmm. I'm on financial services. It's the banking committee. There's a huge, the SEC, security, the stock market, right? New York City, right? And this guy's going to turn it. There was a movie a long time ago, Escape from New York, where it becomes this criminal hellscape. That's literally what's about to happen. I listened to an interview with him. He was talking about how crime is a construct of modern society. And if more things were free, then there would be no crime. And this is what that guy believes. I thought it was fiction at first, right? You're hearing this guy talk, and he's going to destroy New York. And, this whole idea of taxing the rich only works until all the rich move out, which is what's going to happen to the city.
Yeah, amen. I agree. Is there any way, thinking along these lines, is there any way to maybe denaturalize Mayor Freddie O'Connell?
Well, I don't know about that. I'm pretty sure he was born here, but I don't know. I'll check for you. But I tell you what, Mamdani is literally, I think, he's a terrorist sympathizer. He's very anti-American. He's, in his own words, you don't have to believe me. Your listeners don't have to believe you. You can simply go watch the videos that he has put out there. His own words. He's anti-American, and he's about to be the mayor of the largest city in the country, the financial epicenter of our country. I have a problem with that, even though it's outside of my district.
So, Representative, one final thought on the White House. You know, the liberals just had their little No Kings rallies, and that's fine as long as they're peaceful, as long as they don't block traffic. I don't care what they do on a Saturday. I'm going to watch some college football and enjoy time with family, but they can do them and I'll do me. At the same time, the general purpose was to declare that we don't have kings, we don't have authoritarians, and we all think it's just ridiculous. At the same time, I hear chatter, and I know that you suggested or even proposed the idea of amending the 22nd Amendment of the Constitution to allow for 3 non-consecutive terms, and you did that earlier in the year. Now we have Steve Bannon making, I don't know how serious the comment was, but making comments about, we have a plan for Trump to serve a 3rd term. I know you've discussed this. Trump's now being asked about it. I just ask you this, and I respect you, Andy, but I mean, is this beneficial for what we're trying to do in America today to suggest that Trump should be serving a 3rd term, particularly considering that he's almost 80 years old now?
Well, let's be honest. It drives the left absolute bananas.
Well, I mean, I get it.
I'm just going to be honest with you. But it forces an important conversation of, would you rather have another Joe Biden Democrat administration, or would you prefer a 3rd term under the vision and leadership of President Trump? I think what you're going to see is that President Trump, quite frankly, even if the Constitution could be amended, which, by the way, is very difficult to do, I don't know that he would run. I think he would be glad to hand off the torch to J.D. Vance and maybe Marco Rubio, but he's still going to be an influential world figure for the next decade or for however long he chooses to be. I think he ends his presidency and he travels the world playing peacemaker and leader, being an advocate and champion cheerleader for the United States of America. And that's a good place and a good role for him to have. But, is it possible? Sure, it's possible. Is it a difficult thing to accomplish? Absolutely. But again, it forces that conversation of, this was the reality under Joe Biden and the Democrats. Here's the new reality. But, by the way, because of President Trump, 81 children were just rescued in the city of Memphis who were otherwise Memphis. Amen. Oh, by the way, Washington, D.C. is safe again. Oh, by the way, Chicago is becoming safer. And you have city after city across America where the citizens are begging President Trump to come in and to liberate and take back their streets. That's a sign of change that's coming. And while we are going to sweep the midterms, the Republicans here in a few short months.
Well, and I know you've got a scoop, but you mentioned Memphis. One quick thought on that. I just got the numbers. As of Friday, the Memphis Safe Task Force said they had arrested 1,457. They had seized 274 illegally possessed firearms. They've detained 113 gang members, many of whom they expect to be deported back to their countries of origin. And you mentioned 81 children that have been reported missing have been found. At what point, I mean, obviously this is a wild success and will serve as an example to other cities how this could happen in their communities. At what point would you call Donald Trump up on the phone and say, Mr. President, maybe it's time to look at Nashville? I mean, are we there yet? or would you have to see, what would your message be, I guess, to Mayor Freddie O'Connell about what he needs to do to prevent that sort of thought or process?
Well, when you go back to when Afton Ben was interfering with ICE raids in Nashville, there was talk that Memphis was on the list. And I reached out and said publicly that Nashville should be on the list as well, because you have a mayor who's not really doing his job. He's not policing his streets. He's not empowering the law enforcement, our law enforcement, and which, by the way, that's what, Music City, USA, it's the heartbeat of our state. We need for a it to be safe. It could be safer. And to the men and women in uniform in Nashville, there are those of us that have your back. Your mayor does not, but we do. And so I've already called for the president to intercede or to send resources to Nashville. Nashville, by the way, has been one of the top cities that ICE has been working in part because of me asking for it. But that being said, I'll continue to be an advocate for Nashville and the state of Tennessee. But when you have these woke, activist, radical mayors, it's telling that you have a state rep, Afton Ben, who is being literally interfering with federal authorities. And
now running for the 7th Congressional District. And we need to get Matt Van Epps in that seat. Jiffy quick.
He's going to win.
Yeah.
I've endorsed him. He's going to win. He's going to win handily. But he's like me. He immediately has to jump right around, and he'll be running for re-election. But, he came to D.C., by the way. Several of the candidates did. And obviously I had a couple of friends in the race, so I stayed neutral. But my takeaway from Matt when I met him for the first time was he's an impressive guy. And he's, quite frankly, one of the nicest guys you're ever going to meet. If you haven't had him in studio on the show, you should. Yeah. Truly impressive, truly a great guy, and I look forward to serving with him.
Representative Andy Ogles, always good to check in with you. Come see us when you're in town, and we'll talk to you again very soon. Take care.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
All right, there's 54 after there. There's Andy Ogles. And look, see if I can get him. Is my elephant close to Andy?
Oh, I took Andy off.
Oh, dadgummit. I was trying to get the elephant to smooch him.
Oh, try it again.
All right. Is that close?
Up a little more. A little more to the left.
You're messing with me, man.
Kissing voice.
Hey, a little elephant.
That little fella.
Hey, Andy, help me. I'm in captivity. Don't support circuses. Love elephants. Roll Tide. 54 after the hour.
Jackson is
psychotic.
I think there's something in my juice. I think there's something in my Welch's Grape Ghost. I'm feeling a little funky. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.